Hello, welcome to Moments with the Master. Today, or the day that this will be shown, is December the 24th, Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. You should not have been saying it up until now, but now you may say it. Also, if you really want to annoy people, for the next 12 days until January the 6th, continue saying Merry Christmas when you go to Walmart, when you're getting groceries, wherever you are, when you leave. Make sure that you tell the person Merry Christmas, because it is the time to celebrate Christmas. We've been waiting for it up until now, and now you
Do
can
it
really
until Epiphany.
until Epiphany, exactly. So we are doing the readings this week. We decided to both do the readings for Christmas Day at midnight. The readings are Isaiah 9, chapter 9, verses 2 through 7, Psalm 96, 1 through 3, and 11 through 13, Titus chapter 2, 11 through 14, and Luke chapter 2, 1 through 14, which Josh totally has memorized. But I'm going to, I'm sorry, I'm going to be reading just a little bit from the Isaiah lesson. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in the land of deep darkness, on them a light has shined. Thou hast multiplied the nation, thou hast increased its joy. They rejoice before thee as with the joy of the harvest, as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For the yoke of his burden and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, thou hast broken on the day of Midian. For every boot of the trampling warrior in battle tumults, and every garment rolled in blood will be burned as fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. On the increase of his government and of peace there will be no end, upon the kingdom of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forth forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this. I was only going to read some of it, but I read all of it.
Forever and ever, and he shall reign forever. King of kings.
Forever. Emmanuel. Because I am recording this actually earlier than December the 24th, I have not had a chance to hear Tyler, one of our parishioners, give his presentation of the last of the names, titles for Jesus given in O Come, Emmanuel. Rex Genitum, the King of Nations, which directly connects with this verse. So the last two words, Rex Genitum and Emmanuel. So let me talk about this hymn instead. And then next time when we meet, I'll tell you what, when we record, I'll tell you about what he had to say. The prophecies in Isaiah are 4,000 years old, would you say?
Something like
3,000?
Very old.
Very old. And those, they were by the people of God, they were identified as being inspired by God and contained within the Old Testament. Then pretty soon after the church was established, and by pretty soon I mean within let's say 400 or 500 years, these were turned into what were called the O antiphons, 7 prayers that were said in the 7 days from December the 17th to December the 23rd. At a later point, these prayers were turned into a Latin hymn. Veni, veni, Emmanuel, captivum salve Israel.
Which, by the way, my favorite version of that is the Mannheim Steamroller version.
They actually have a good one. Oh, well, I'll check it out. If you make me like Mannheim Steamroller, I won't know what to do with myself. And it was turned into a hymn in Latin. And then one of my heroes of hymnody, John Mason Neal, he began to rescue these hymns that were being forgotten in Greek and Latin, and to translate them into English and to sometimes set them to new melodies or sometimes to the original melodies. When you look at a Baptist hymnal, for instance, it's filled with Fanny Crosby and Isaac Newton and things like that. But there are very few truly ancient hymns in there. And one of those ancient hymns that are recorded is O Come, Emmanuel. Actually, most of the ancient hymns that are recorded are from Christmas time. There's something about this period that makes us want to sing the old hymns, the old hymns, those pre-Reformation ancient hymns. And I am so grateful to John Mason Neal for rescuing this one, because it is just one of the coolest things ever to be put together in Christian history. Because each one of those names of Jesus in Latin, Sapientia, Adonai, I'm going in reverse order, actually starting from the 17th. Sapientia, wisdom; Adonai, Lord; Radix Jesse, root of Jesse; Clavis David, key of David; Oriens or dawn; Rex Genitum or king of nations; and then Emmanuel. The first word, first letter of each one of those words in Latin, if you reverse it, spells ero cras, which translates to tomorrow I come. So what we're doing in the 7 days from the 17th to the 23rd, we're saying wisdom, come; Adonai, come; root of Jesse, come; oh come, oh come. And we say each of these names in order. And as we are saying them, as we are praying for him to come, his answer is being spelled out at the same time. So that on the 23rd, when we say, oh come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that is, his answer has been fully spelled out. Tomorrow I come. And tomorrow is December the 24th, Christmas Eve. About 10 years ago, my dad used to have his kids come and help him do his Christmas cantata every year. We were his ringers, yes, and he would have us do solos and stuff. And one year he was doing this truly horrid one that was based on I'll Be Home for Christmas. And he asked me if I could write better stuff for it. Go ahead. Do you remember it?
No, I think I was in Texas at that time.
Oh yeah, you were. He asked me if I could write new things for it. And one of the things he added in a hymn, an Easter hymn called Behold, Behold Emmanuel. And it was about Behold the Man. And it was about all the crucifixion of Jesus. And so he had these two hymns, O come, Emmanuel, and Behold, Behold Emmanuel. And he wanted something to go in the middle. And so he asked, in addition to the other things, he asked me to write this specifically, and this was supposed to be the centerpiece. It is one of the most meaningful things that I've ever written for me personally, and I give it to people if they want to use it on Christmas Eve, and so I would like to read it for you now. I haven't read it in a while. The people who were wandering in darkness cried out to heaven, Great God, come quickly to our aid. Loving Lord, hasten to help us. Hearing their prayers, God took counsel with himself. In a threefold voice, he said, It is time, and the heavens hushed in wonder. So the Son stripped himself of his robes of glory. He removed his regal crown. His power and wealth were set aside. And while all things were in quiet silence, and night was in the midst of her swift course, the Almighty Word leapt down out of his royal throne. He came to us in such a poor, pitiful state, devoid of crown, throne, robes, and power. In coming, he asked us what we had to give him. My children, I have no clothes, for I have set them aside for love of you. What have you to give me to cover my nakedness? We have only the womb of a virgin. Of her you may take our flesh, though it is diseased with death and stained with sin. This will I take, he replied. Yet in the taking, he made the flesh clean and living. My children, I have no house, for I have left my father for love of you. What home have you to give me to shelter me from the wind? We have only the stable of this inn, where the sheep and oxen sleep. This will I take, he replied. Yet in the taking, he made that stable the palace of the wide world and high heavens. My children, I have no throne, for I have set aside my seat for love of you. What throne have you to give me from which I may administer justice and peace? We have only this manger, the feeding place of ox and donkey. This will I take, he replied. Yet in the taking, he made that manger more holy than the ark of the covenant. My children, I have no way to travel, for I, who was once all places, have bound myself to this one place for love of you. What steed have you to give me that I might ride to your rescue? We have only this donkey, who is used to bear the burdens of his owner. This will I take, he replied. Yet in the taking, he made that donkey the bearer of the most noble Son of God. My children, I have no food, for I, who once had no need, have made myself needful for love of you. What meal have you to give me that I might be nourished for the great battle? We have only this bread and this wine, which will be used for Passover. This will I take, he replied. Yet in the taking, he made it his broken body and his blessed blood. My children, I have no crown, for I have laid aside my diadem for love of you. What crown have you to give me to show that I am your king? We have only this crown of thorns, which will pierce your brow. This will I take, he replied. Yet in the taking, he made it more noble than any golden laurel that ever adorned a Caesar. My children, I have no sword, for I have laid aside all my power for love of you. What weapon have you to give me that I might free you from your oppressors? We have only this cross on which to hang you. This will I take, he replied. Yet in the taking, he defeated both death and sin. My children, I have no bed, for I who once was tireless have become tired in my labors to free you. What resting place have you to give me that I might take my Sabbath? We have only this borrowed barrow, the grave of a stranger. This will I take, he replied. Yet in the taking, he made it the doorway to harrowed hell and hallowed heaven. And the people who had walked in darkness saw the great light. God had become naked for them. God had become homeless for them. God had become throneless for them. God had become limited for them. God had become hungry for them. God had become thirsty for them. God had become crownless for them. God had become weaponless for them. God had died for them. God had become one of them. And they said, we will call him Emmanuel, for truly God is with us. And so it was that in obedience and humility, the Son took all that he was given and made it blessed. And all that had been laid aside was returned to him, power, throne, crown, robes, and glory. He turned again to earth and said, my children, you have no gifts, for all that was once mine is now restored to me. What tribute have you to give me that I may know of your love? We have only our failing flesh, our weak wills, and our poor hearts, but we give them to you to do with as you would. These will I take, he replied. Yet in the taking, God with us changed our names to we with God. And that, Charlie Brown, is what Christmas is all about.
Thank you.
Anything else you need to add? In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I give you my heart, my soul, and my strength. Make me a good man.